start with this. Right, so and we'll right. I'm going to go with a little extra history. It's a shame I can't find that page, but we'll get there. Just going to wait a few minutes, obviously, just try and get people on here. So slowly. Nope.
I'll show them the front of the book, Laura.
Yeah, you've got a different, right, okay. Slowly, people are coming on. Good evening, everyone. Let's have a look. It is, what's today? Today's Wednesday. I lose track of days. Wednesday, the 31st of August. UK time 6:08. Good evening, everyone. So we're back here for round 2 of our education lesson with Ian. You've put your name down as John Smith again. I'll just keep calling you Ian. Do you know something? Because you've put your name as John Smith, I have a feeling that people think you are John Smith from the Common
Law Court. I'm not.
No, and I think we had someone thinking that last time, and that's why they kicked off about common law.
Yeah, well, that is not me.
Right, you're not here.
I refer to this.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this is not common law per se, is it? So this goes beyond common law.
That's what these judges use, barristers, QCs. It's all in there. Right,
so before I start, I just want to make reference once again, we are not here to give legal advice. This is not, we're not legally trained, we're not lawyers, etc., etc. This is just a discussion for people to then go on and do their own research and look into it. It's a, what's the word I'm looking for right now? It's I'm disclaimer. Yeah, it's a disclaimer here. I'm putting a disclaimer. Not legal, not legally trained. We probably.
I am by qualification.
Yeah. So interesting last chat. Thank you. So thank you. Please share it. I'm going to hopefully download this again and put it on my YouTube channel after. And we're going to pick up with a little bit of history again, touch a little bit more on history because, and history will always be challenged anyway, but this is what you know at the moment. And if anyone wants to challenge it, obviously they can come to you because I'm not, you know, I haven't educated myself on the history that you know, which is the knowledge of what you're going to share with us. So we're going to touch on a little history. And I think I remembered asking you about, there may be some people that may question, how can we be sure that the superior laws really are the superior laws? What makes them valid as superior laws?
Right, well, way back after Cromwell and the English Civil War, he was a Lord Protector. He died. And James, the king of the day, abdicated. He abdicated because what we now know as William of Orange, who was previously also known as Philip of Finland, right, combined with other European forces to attack this country. There was a messenger sent to James where he abdicated and basically run off. So the crown was vacant. The monarchy, it was threatened with war, with an act of war. And on that threat, he basically, in cowardice, left the country. So who can we say, therefore, would be the rightful monarch? I would say it is William, because he declared the war against James. James left. He entered the country. It was then agreed by the Parliament of the day, which they were agreed there was no Parliament because Cromwell dissolved it for 12 years. So when that were agreed, the bloodlines were agreed by the Act of War that he presented, and they had a rightful claim. This is how William became monarch, with the actual bloodline of Mary.
But Mary was also the bloodline, wasn't she? Mary was of the bloodline.
So that union, if you like, the marriage union, confirmed his claim to become king with Mary. My issue with it of the day is that the Parliament of the day were all merchants connected to inner city of London, the foreign state. Yeah, this is my issue in my studies. So what we have now is maritime law way back in 1688 being implemented at the highest level that we can see today, which is Parliament, and it's continued ever since, in my view. That basically is a history of the bloodline, which I believe to be correct.
Right.
Yeah. So any arguments on that, I'm happy to take the questions and give all the information I have on that, and generally reference the 9 Years' War, what's called the 9 Years' War in Europe.
Right.
Which was the French king, I think it was Louis X or something. Louis, there were him, there were the King of Spain, there were numerous of them, that all amalgamated as one army and then threatened this country. James knew that he could not win and therefore abdicated. It was later, to return, I believe. However, he gave up the monarchy of his own volition, and it was vacant to be taken, which William did without even firing an arrow.
Right.
But so the Act of War was declared.
Right. So because for someone to take ownership, there has to be an act of war or a bloodline. Is that right?
Yes.
Right. So there was the act, the mens rea, there was already in place.
The act had been implemented to make that claim. The good side to William and Mary is the protections that he gave us.
So why did James then flee to France if they were against him?
Because we didn't have the army to fight him. Yeah, we didn't have an army available within England and Wales to win. He knew he'd lost, so he preferred to abdicate. That way, he didn't end up on the chopping block.
Right. So, and that's how William took ownership.
Yes.
If someone were to challenge the superior laws, what would be the law before that? Would it then go to...
Now, I have a bit of an issue here with the Magna Carta.
Right.
And why I say that is the Magna Carta in 1215 is the original one. However, if somebody stuck a knife to my throat and said, if you don't sign that, you're gone, then it's coercion. Now, in any current modern day court, that would be ruled as inadmissible.
Yes.
So the agreements made in the Magna Carta is done by threat and coercion of the barons of the day.
So it's under duress.
Under duress, correct. So therefore, I question the validity of the Magna Carta 1215. But then we've got another two versions after that, 1226 and I believe 1296, where they took certain parts out and put certain parts in. And then that continued for a few centuries, didn't it? 4 centuries almost. Yeah. After the 1296, I think it is, up until 1688, 400 years. So in view of that, I question the validity, or I would do if I were in a court of law today, and say it was done under coercion and threat. So therefore, is it valid? The answer to that in any court in this land would be, no, it's not.
But didn't they say that the Magna Carta was made valid again in 2000?
Yeah, but they never said which version was clarified as still in force, if you like. They didn't say whether it was 1215 one, 1226 or the 12. They never said which. Yeah. So if I was in a, like I say, in a court of law, then I would ask for the question to be answered: is this valid because it was obtained under threat and coercion and of loss of life by King John?
I have heard before that it was under duress. But again,
it can't be valid.
It's very hard to know which history is reliable.
Therefore, we today must base our actions on that which we know generally by first-hand knowledge. Otherwise, we're all dealing with presumption. Now, the thing about presumption is it is not fact. It is hearsay. And Google writes many, many things, but it's just hearsay. We read it and try to accept it as fact when it could be different. And we can never know unless we search official documents, such as FCO 30/1048.
Yep. So, I mean,
official documents, we can rely on them as evidence. Yeah, official documents. So you can call the custodian now, of the Public Records Office to present them. And the records, whoever took them at the time and where they've been held, which will generally be in Public Records Office in Fleet Street.
Right.
Although you'd have to go through Kew Gardens now to get them.
So really what you're saying is, let's forget, I mean, we've got some people saying the Magna Carta Part 2, 1297 is current and relevant today because for the Queen Bench 2022, 007. Yeah.
Queen's Bench 2022 corporate. Which is not constitutional. Therefore, QB 2022, is not constitutional and therefore not legitimate. Because we've never consented to it. The government has never consented to it. So I'd have an issue with that comment.
Yeah. So there's many different versions. So I suppose if, we can tackle that if and when.
In due course. That is serious past history.
Right. It's very far, isn't it? It's very far.
Which led me up to researching William, researching Mary, etc., etc.
You looked into the Magna Carta?
Yeah.
Article
61. This all set me off years back. David Robinson, for example, a stalwart of an advocate of the common law and the Magna Carta. God is no longer with us now, God bless him. But his efforts I've recognised. Yeah, and I've done my own research, like you say, and when you've done all your own research, you reach a conclusion. And David was reliant on a document that could be ruled as inadmissible because it was obtained under threat and coercion. But he never recognised that. But I do respect David. His work was amazing. But he relied on that. Now, if there is the argument there of it being obtained under threat and coercion, at what point in future times do we move to begin to get some stability in our legal and lawful arguments? Well, my view is Bill of Rights, because having satisfied myself that William and Mary were valid as monarchs.
Yep.
Therefore, the superior statutes, namely Bill of Rights, Coronation Oath Act, Act of Settlement 1700, Treason Act 1795, although that's later and they both passed away. Yeah, it was passed by another monarch to protect the governments and the monarchy. That's the Treason Act 1795. So when we move through time and we look at the dates are the most important of the lot, because what William and Mary gave us were protections.
Right.
And those protections are standing for all time. They are the express words used in each one of those statutes.
Right.
Which brings me now, from a history point of view, to this book.
Which is the Archibold.
I don't know if you can see it front on that. I don't know. Camera's having a carry on with me.
Archibold Oh, can you see? Oh, wonderful. I didn't realise there were subtitles, Lisa. That's really good.
So the first chapter in there is to disobey a statute.
Yep, got it
in
here.
Chapter 1. So when you're all recognising, right, what is a statute? The most significant of all is the Bill of Rights, Coronation Oath Act, Act of Settlement 1700 and Treason Act 1795.
Right.
So who was disobeyed then? I can tell you now, since 1973, every government has, every cabinet minister has, every bank has.
Yep.
And administrative courts, according to the Coronation Oath Act, by Aylesbury's Laws of Parliament, cannot be legitimised because of the constraints on the Queen's Oath. I prefer to apply the statute itself, the Coronation Oath Act.
Right.
Yeah, 1688, because in 73 she was deposed as monarch and became a head of state, which is a corporation. Now she governs corporations. This is why we're getting walked all over. But did you know it? Well, we were dealing with a lady of some years now in 1973. What is she now? 90? Is she 95?
I think she's nearing reincarnation, yes.
Yeah, well, but if you go back, so she'd have been brought in her 70s or in her 70s. But this is where Parliament skewed everything by taking away her ministers and advisors as a monarch, yeah, and replacing them with one, and they call the cabinet, but the cabinet are also her advisors, so they're creating whatever acts of Parliament they so want to.
Yeah,
and they're no better than the Parliament of Cromwell's day when he dissolved Parliament, and he dissolved it, the lot of you out. Nothing more odious, as he to quote him. So what we've got now is a Parliament that disregards, with just willy-nilly, because it's basically rubbed it out of our education. Because if we knew about this, we would implement it. But we've got to be malleable for their benefit. So that's what they did in the history with the education programme, set off, I believe, 1832, which were established by the Vatican. Yeah, that's a Vatican education, done by the churches, etc., etc. And here's where we all get manipulated and dumbed down and taught wrongly, but taught by omission. Namely, these 4 acts that I've said, that we can rely on at any given time. Because superior, they cannot be changed. Parliament can't change them.
Well, I suppose, like you say, even if you don't want to, even if you want to keep it simple and not go as far back as the Magna Carta, the fact that you have an absolutely, I can't even get it, massive book, which right? I've got the 2017 edition, but I mean, the point is, it's all there. The fact that you've got this legal book.
All you're having there, difference from this book I've got in front of me, is updated case laws.
Surely we can work from this against their very system, because it is surely all in it. But the argument would be that
all the offences remain the same, no matter which book you come to. All you've got to do is reference the back of the book. Start at the back. Question the evidence which leads you to conclude there may be an offence having been committed. If so, what is that offence? And this is where you've got to become a bit of an investigator, stroke, understanding evidence, looking for a certain offence, learning to read this book. It'll send you forwards and backwards and all over. It'll say C25 whatever chapter, ante or post, which means go forward or go back. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then you go through all the full chronology of the references given, and you will conclude an offence is established or discounted. Yeah. So therefore, if you're going to say there's an offence being committed, then you've got to start again. This is what your Crown Prosecution Service before 1973 used to do. Yeah. They had to establish the offence so that it fit the indictment, because one word wrong in that indictment was thrown out. It was in error. So that basically outlines how we've led up to today's so-called legislation, which is as corrupt as a day is long And when you understand disobeying a statute within that book, and then you apply the what statutes are relevant, namely Bill of Rights, Coronation Oath Act, etc., etc. There isn't one of them not committed an offence.
And does the Black Laws Dictionary come in handy with this book?
It does for references purposes, but this Black's Laws, it skirts across, some with USA, some with here, some with, all over the place. This deals with here. There are references to UK case law in the Supreme Court, which will always apply here because they're dealt with by Bar Council Supreme Court judges.
Right.
So often say to me, that's America. And I say, well, the Bar Council judges. But they're all affiliated to a foreign state, namely in the City of London.
Right.
Because that's what it means. Yeah.
Okay.
British accredited registration with the Bar Council in London. Sorry, in the inner city of London, a foreign state. So if you want my view, every judge is a foreign agent.
Yes. Yeah.
We don't listen to common law. You don't have a bloody choice, old love, because I'm relying now.
Yeah. I mean, it's because as well in the Black's Law Dictionary, there are certain meanings to certain words that we think, like, for instance, the word person, we think when talking about a person, we're talking about a man.
We're not.
Yeah. But
talking
it's
about
not
a legal entity.
Yeah.
A dead legal fiction. And how that, I mean, maybe that's for another time. We can talk about birth certificates and the trickery and fraud of a birth certificate in future times. So what I'm asking everybody to acknowledge and understand and research it for yourselves, it's all in the Archibold.
Right.
And the paper hardback version is the best of all, because once you start researching it, you will not forget it. You can put post-its in it. There's an abundance of them in there, if you can see them.
Yep.
Yeah. Abundance, all kinds of references, Theft Act, etc., etc. Disobeying a statute, another. There's numerous things in there. Treason. Yeah. It's there's no mention in there of treason being repealed. Yeah,
I'll have to, because my one is actually missing the reference page, so I need to find out. Wait for the next one that comes.
This book itself, right, is priceless. Because I can only give you one example very quickly. A friend of mine borrowed this book, and he was suing a corporate officer in his personal capacity. And he walked into court with his district judge. This is only a week last Friday, by the way. He walked into court with this judge, and he got this book out. When he sat in front of the judge, and he's got their solicitor there, and this solicitor started carrying on or whatever. But he established that solicitor, whilst his client wasn't there, had no right of claim. So he gets out the book. And then they're all curious. Then they see Archibolds, and they see all the post-its, and you can see it. And he told me, only today did this lad, oh my God. He knew we were in for it then. And all he did was produce that book and put it on a table. Even the judge didn't know what to do.
Well, Ian, I'm going to try this. And by the end of this, we're going to talk about how we're going to apply some of these things. Obviously, I want to try and keep this to a sensible time, because I want to do loads of these lives with you and talk about different strategies. So
shall we move to another? I think I've established the chronology and the history of where we are today.
Yeah, I mean, if anyone wants to discuss the history with you, maybe they can message you directly, or I mean, again, like I said, if you don't agree, you do your own research, look into it, or maybe send you a message, drop you a line, and have that debate. Yeah.
I have a wife too.
You have what?
I have a life and a wife.
A life and a
combined, they're both arduous.
Right, but you wanted to talk about taking back self-governance.
Right. If you go on the government website and look up the Justices of the Peace Act 1949.
Okay. I didn't. Right, let's have a look. Justice. 1949.
1949.
Yep. Implemented that recommendation. creating MCCs for each administrative country and for certain non-country boroughs. Is this... I'm not sure, because there's loads of them here, and I'm not sure. Should we... Have you got one open already?
No, I don't have one open already. I've got to, it's all in here, isn't it? I can quote you to it. Yeah. Section 4, and it starts at section 4. That you must start with a commission, which is of 26 or more, which was what was known as a common law jury. Yeah.
Yep.
And you post out there in your local communities that this is going to happen. Yeah. If you don't want to get involved, fine. If you do, fine. But you must establish 26 or more to give over the authority to a justice of the peace. And that justice of the peace must live within a 15-mile radius of the central point of the where it's all been declared.
Right. So what you're saying is that a court cannot deal with a case if it's more than 15 miles away.
If it's under that jurisdiction and you've took back self-governance. Because what you're establishing here, imagine America, all the different states, they all have different laws. Yeah? Right. And they all do. So what you're doing is you're creating a united England, if you like. Yeah. Now, if you imagine cartwheels, and one overlaps the other, before you know it, you've covered the country. So you don't need Boris, you don't need the corporations, you don't need none of them, because you've took back self-governance, but you need some form of representation as far as the country goes. Yeah. Because we've still got to deal in commerce and things like that and bring food in from abroad. There's a lot of, you can't just take this as a willy-nilly thing. We've got to keep sustaining food imports, plus food exports and other things tangible or intangible. Yeah, software, for example, and things like that. But we must sustain the economy in and out of the country to be able to be self-govern and establish our own financing. Right. Without the corrupt gits in London. Mm-hmm. Because you don't need them. Nobody needs them. You're just being dragged into believing that everybody you've got to vote. No, you don't. What you need to do is establish, if you all read the Justice of the Peace Act, you establish a commission, you appoint your JP or more, who must have a reasonable qualification and an understanding of evidence and law. Yeah, in other words, Bill of Rights. And things like that. And all these rights have to be respected, even against the accused, if you like. I don't care that if that's Boris Johnson has a right to have his rights respected as much as you or I do, even though I don't like him. So it's not advisable for me to bring a charge against him because I'd want to hang him. But that's another story.
But Boris is just his business name, isn't it?
Pardon?
Boris is his business name, his corporate name.
You can look up on Companies House and you will find Boris Johnson Limited. You will find Dominic Raab Limited. You will find Rishi Sunak Limited. You will find Hancock Limited. Sunak, all of them.
So what you're saying is this Justice of the Peace Act is what we need to establish
self-governance.
Self-governance. So to take back self-governance, we need the Justice of the Peace Act. So how do we use this Justice of the Peace Act to do that?
Well, it must be advertised. Generally, 3 months is sufficient within your locality of that 15-mile radius.
Right. So do we fill in a form?
No. You just advertise it. You set a venue and a date.
And say what?
And say, right, we are now implementing the Justice of the Peace Act. We're going to take back self-governance. Yeah?
Yep.
And you do. Now, all these corporations that are running rioting, against us, namely corporate councils, you remove them. What you decide as far as you create your laws. Yeah. If you want to ban the council as it stands now, then ban it.
So what you're saying is, let me get this right for myself and everyone else that might not understand. And again, I'm asking you questions as though I'd be a 5-year-old to make it as clear as possible for all the 5-year-olds out there like myself. Under this Justice of the Peace Act, I could draw up a document and say that, I mean, how would I word it? Laura Nina, or that's not my real name before anyone attacks me, but for the sake of this live, I'm taking back self-governance.
Or proportional representation.
And what?
Proportional representation. Which we don't have that in Parliament now because it's all gone corporate. Do you get that? So yeah. All the legislation that they've created is out the window and it's gone because we don't pander to them anymore because they're not entitled to encroach on our jurisdiction. That 15-mile radius.
Okay, so just for the record, we're having these discussions. We're just going to talk about things and put them out there. But hopefully the idea is that within the next, if it all goes well, within the next few months, we're going to start a hub. And we're going to have templates.
Encourage people to make a decision with themselves. I'm just sick of all these gas price hikes because to me, it's just a scam.
Yeah.
And the UK war is a scam. The coronavirus was a scam. But how are they getting away with it? Because the corporate, because we believe they're constitutional when they're not. The corporate. So therefore, whatever Boris says, you can ignore that idiot. And I do. And I ignore corporate councils. Why? Because they're not constitutional.
Yeah.
They're corporately registered with Dun & Bradstreet or Companies House. And if that ain't court enough to satisfy any jury that the corporate and outside the jurisdiction of constitutional, which breaches the Coronation Oath Act, etc., and the Bill of Rights, no wonder we can't get a jury trial and get them before a jury for treason.
Yeah.
It's what it was all about. And Blair was the one that deceived us all regarding Treason Act 1795. He had no powers.
So the Justice of the Peace Act has to be made public.
By the people.
Right. So we set up a template, a letter, and we make it public. How do we do that? Do we put it in a newspaper?
In a newspaper, on every street lamp, within that 15, you just got to find out where the 15-mile radius is. Yeah, and that's your outer limit. But as the next 15-mile radius overlaps, you encourage them to come in. And then you will find that once you've covered the entire country, this Parliament has gone because it won't be allowed to encroach.
So if, let's just say everybody in, the 15-mile radius decided to write a letter, I mean, the papers aren't going to publish it. I can more or less guarantee the papers won't publish it.
So it needs a concerted effort to go to every door with a flyer or something of that nature. Yeah.
Right.
Which is very minimal. If people really want peace, tranquility, all the rest of it within their lives, to make sure the grandkids are secure, like this little individual I had last week. Yeah, it's lovely. But I don't want her living in a world that we're heading for. I don't want any other person's child. But what I am saying is this. It's gone on long enough.
Yep, it certainly has.
We've been lied to for long enough. There has been serious offences committed to get us to this point by every government since 1973, and enough is enough. And this is a way to take it all back and get shut of them and then later make them accountable.
Right, so to take back governance, we need to draft up a letter and publicise it.
Yes, by whatever means.
Within 15-mile radius.
Within a 15-mile radius.
Does someone need to acknowledge it? Because people might
just advertise it on the night, whenever you put a night to it, or a venue, or a time and date, and you'll find out on the night what the will of the people is, won't you? That's what you'll find out, because your attendance alone, when it comes down to that venue, if the attendance is above 30, that's a fair representation in the eyes of the Bill of Rights.
So what you're saying is if we can get 30 people together within your radius, or with these Justice of the Peace Acts, taking back governance and posting them everywhere.
That's it. You can put any law, you can stop any council coming on your, even charge them if you like. The corporate, remember that. What you create now is something constitutional by agreement. Yeah.
So
because
you could have
voting system. The current voting system is the biggest pile of crap I've ever heard.
Yeah.
And I can substantiate that. You might want it for a later date, but I can do it very quickly. No voting card is authenticated. So if I said to an MP, right, I'm challenging you that you're not valid and you're not legal. Oh, I am. I was voted in. Right, bring your voting cards, pal. And not one of them will have a name and address on it. Therefore, they are not admissible, meaning no MP can prove his validity as an MP because there is no documents there that he can produce to prove to a court that he is legitimate. And that is presumption. You see, we all presume they've got this authority when they've got zero.
Yeah, yeah.
Because in the court of law, you'll beat them. Coming back to Margaret Thatcher now, magistrates court, out bringing in all this corrupt legislation. Yeah, that's it. And this is how we're being basically, well, they took us pants down, smacked us asses, and, you know, they got away with it. Well, they are not my keeper. They never will be.
So would it be better to send this to your local MP?
Why? Because he's part of the scam. I don't get it.
Well, they would they not say, well, it hasn't been registered? Would you to take back the Justice of the Peace, to take governance?
Because you are doing it by your own sovereign right under the Bill of Rights. It's your right to do that if that's what you want as a community. And it's gone. And if you want to put gas through our 15-mile radius, dear old bold Scottish Power, we're going to charge you 5, 10, 15 million a year.
Yeah.
And if you don't pay it, then you go to a proper court, yeah, and then we'll deal with the necessary legislation, and I'll bring one to light now. Yeah, theft in breach of trust. Yeah.
Right.
So what did Thatcher do with gas, water and electric? Shall we move to utilities now? And the corruption of Boris and co.
Right. So yeah, I mean, we've done the justice, taking governance back, justice of peace. Proceeds of crime.
Oh, there's just one left with that justice of the peace, which is Police Act 1965.
Right.
And we get constitutional police officers put back in place under a correct oath and not an affirmation or an attestation. Because attestation and affirmation, are nothing but allegiance to the corporations.
Well, you're not going to, I mean, that's going to be quite hard to change, isn't it? How could we do that?
Because everything that they've done since 1973 is void because they've all acted in criminality. Once you act in criminality, anything you do after being discovered from that point is void. I addressed this in the last video. It's void.
Yeah, you did, yeah.
So, how do you do this? How do you do that, as you put it? It's very easy. You just say, I don't care what you say, Mr. MP. Yeah. I don't care what you say because you have no legal right to tell me anything. McCain v. Des Moines, I mentioned this last week. They're outside the jurisdiction to impose anything on you. And this is why I don't understand. Well, I understand it, but people, the ordinary person, are like we're rabbits in a set of headlights. Frightened. Well, stop being frightened. The protections are there for you. Implement them.
Right. And
you will find they go away. I'd love my daughter get knocked on, but they don't come anymore. It's rather boring now, actually. Go on, they won't come. Because ultimately, I will end up in a court, and that's where I want to be.
Yeah.
But in a constitutional one, and I'll apply Attorney General v. Times versus the Times, yeah, which I am entitled to a constitutionally established court. Thank you, David Clapham, for that, by the way. A constitutionally established court. Now, we're not corporate, are we? So a judge has to swear under his public oath of allegiance to the Crown, i.e. the Monarch or Coronation Oath Act, and that is what they're going to hate doing because they've got away with it too long.
They steer everyone to an administrative court, but if someone is facing an administrative court, how can they change it to a court with a jury? How do they do that?
Right. First, we've got to establish, well, let's say I'll be with gas, electric and water and Boris's lie.
Yep.
Right. Thatcher stole it, both in criminality, in theft and treason. I say to them companies, right, bring it on. They say in their contracts, if you read them, has anybody ever read your contracts with utility companies? And you watch this change. I've kept my original contract before I got enlightened. All disputes will be dealt with in the courts of England and Wales or under the laws of England and Wales.
Is that what they say?
That's what it says in most contracts. But so I kept my original. And then 4 weeks later, it's disappeared, and I can put it on here. The section relating to that under section 26 of that contract had disappeared. It all got amended, sharpish, but it proved something to me. I'd hit on something, I'd hit a nerve. Yeah, because I wanted them in court to prove that they had committed theft of our property known as taxpayers. We taxpayers collectively. And there'd be none of these if it weren't for tax contributions and our labours. So who owns them? We do, not them. Mm-hmm. So Thatcher, in breach of trust, another criminal offence, which I'm looking at now, on page 1969. It's a funny page, that, isn't it? Almost a year today. However, it theft in breach of trust, chapter 21 4D.
I think yours is different from mine. Yep.
So Thatcher breached her trust because she only held then in an implied trust. Our failure, because we didn't understand all this, our failure is to not claim the property back under Theft Act 1968, section 528. I mentioned this in our last video. No. So we all collectively get together, put our names to an express letter to Boris Johnson and these companies. It's in theft. You took it in theft. Thatcher sold it in breach of trust. Yeah. Now we want it back now, and we want all the monies that you've took, because if not, then we're going to apply the Proceeds of Crime Act. Yeah. Yeah. We're going to take your homes. We're going to take everything in your bank account. We're going to freeze the lot.
So basically what you're saying is that we can write to our utilities company
and say just exactly what I just said.
And create a dispute.
Yes.
And say to them, I'm raising a dispute because, you believe that
you're possessing stolen property.
Excellent.
That you've obtained when Thatcher acted in breach of trust. So you've established through chronology, because Thatcher couldn't have paid for none of them three on her own volition. She didn't have the money. Nobody does. Yeah. But what it is then it becomes equity, doesn't it not? Because they've stolen our equity. That which we've put there for our personal use, that we can pay for a little bit of gas that we use and all that lot. But even BP, we own. Did you know that? British Petroleum, we own, because we paid for it as taxpayers.
Right, I get that.
So now we've established a chronology of events that establishes a claim and a crime.
So because we pay tax on it, we have a claim on it.
Absolutely. And you are the owners. I am, because I paid taxes. More the fool me, but I learned. But hey ho. What I'm saying is, people aren't brought up to recognise who's paying for what here. The government doesn't just, do what it wants. These were established and created way back. A little bit of research on gas board, electric board and water board gives you the times when they were first established. And I'll tell you now, it was long before 1973. Yeah?
Yep.
So how did they get paid for? They got paid for when we was, now listen to this, we had a gold-backed currency, namely the gram per pound.
Yep.
Now, that got took back because the miners were carrying on way back in 32, 31, and they had to find a way of breaking the miners from Newcastle and the way. Yeah. So that the miners were managing to sustain and prolong the miners' strike because they had the rad per pound, which they could trade for 4 ounces of gold in any assay office. So what did Heath do? Heath sold or gave away to a foreign state 544 ton of gold in 1973. Ask yourself, because it reduces our power to protect ourselves. And we've got this silly muppet money called legal tender now.
Mm-hmm.
And they give you legal tender and then say to you, we're going to take your equity now, something of substance, but we're going to give you something that has no substance, called legal tender.
Mm-hmm.
Biggest con of all.
Yeah, it's amazing, isn't it?
Believe you me, it's one hell of a matrix. But coming back to it all, let's establish how we protect it, or you guys out there, protect yourselves regarding these utilities to do with that reprobate in London. Yeah, and I call him that because he is.
He is. He absolutely is.
He's longer than a reprobate anyway. He's longer than a snake's belly, if you want my view on it. But that's another story. My view is my view. But coming back to it all, that when we understand the mechanics of what's been occurring since, well, basically after the First World War, through having gone through Second World War, through to what it is today, the mechanics there is all been about politics and banks. No war would exist without the Rothschilds or some bugger giving a big loan to both countries that couldn't lose the bet. Yep. What a betting strategy. They don't care who dies. All they care about is that.
Yep.
Yeah. So to keep us all in the matrix, they've started taking gold. Brown's Bottom in 2008. Yeah. Another 700 and odd ton. Well, hang on a minute. Where's it gone? I'll tell you where it's gone now. Heath, it says that Brown sold it to China and Russia. Hang on a minute, I don't get that, but there's no record of it. I've tried to find it, the sale.
Yep.
So where is it? I'll tell you where it is. It's in the Rothschild's vault. That's where it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's as simple as that. So when we look at it all there, the treason that's taking place, the theft of equity, all by an illusion of legal tender that's valueless. So think about your bank accounts now, you guys that have got a few quid in it, because I suggest you very, very strongly, and I advise you strongly, convert it into precious metal, i.e. silver or gold, ASP. Now you'll stop the cashless society. Yeah, because you're taking it out. Yep. You're taking it out of the system. You're creating something of substance, and you're in possession. It's yours. And they can't touch it because it's a legal system, a legal tender. Yeah. You change that GDP into precious metals, ASP, because they're going to take it, because they will shut them bank accounts down like flick of a finger. Yeah. One bullet, bang, internet gone, you're stuffed. Then you're going to have no choice but to go cashless and more domination. Yeah.
So if you change it into gold and silver, how are you going to trade it if someone else doesn't have any gold or silver?
Okay. You create a bullion account. Yeah. And let's say you've 100 grand, if you're fortunate these days, because then thieving gets are trying to take everything that they can off you. But let's say you have, or collectively within this 15-mile radius, you create your own bank vault. Do you know that? So there you go. So you change the GDP, legal tender, for precious metal. Yeah. Then it becomes a collective thing again that no government can touch, no Rothschilds can touch, no bank can touch. Because how do you change it? It was your question. It's very simple. If you were to pay £100, yeah, what you do is change the equivalent in silver in ounces into £100 of GDP and pay the bill. It's as easy as that. You can do it in any currency in the world. You can say Hong Kong dollar, US dollar, Pfennigs, call it what you will.
Mm-hmm.
So we can trade around the world with it.
Yeah, because there are some
self-sustaining governance. There's a big difference.
Yeah,
we're sustaining, self-sustaining by our own constitution, where you don't let them in ever again. Because I'm watching, well, I don't like watching the TV, it's corrupted. But I'm watching Starmer this morning. I tell you, I would stick my size 7 straight through that screen.
That's
what another crank. But it's deliberate, yeah, it's controlled opposition, simple. So recognise what you're in front of. But the options are there to do with the Justice of the Peace Act, and it's for you people that create one to create your own laws, as long as you abide by the superior statutes.
Right.
Presto, done.
Done. Right, so there's always going to be a lot to take in with you, isn't there? We're going to have to learn a bit of time.
I know I'm across the board.
I love it.
24 years. Somebody asked me, can I have your brain? You wouldn't like it, Paul, let me tell you. But I'm stuck with it. It's my burden now. Yeah. And I can talk all night about varying subjects. I am not the Messiah, by the way. I'm just a man who over 24 years has researched, stuck, burnt the midnight oil and all the rest of it. And recognised at the end of it, this is the biggest pile of crap I've ever come across. But I grew up. I accepted it. I tested it. I faced the system. Yeah, you know where my door is, crack on. But they don't come. What do you get from that? Well, I can't be that wrong, can I? I really can't be that wrong. Because from that garden, it's my jurisdiction. Yeah, because no corporation has asked my permission to cross my garden perimeter, has it?
Yeah.
So then we move to the implied rights of access thing. And you apply that in the same manner in your 15-mile radius. And if you're caught in it, you're liable to be arrested and imprisoned. That's for your commission to decide what laws are applicable for the protections of its inhabitants and residents.
So can you use, you can put the Justice of the Peace Act, you can put your taking back governance of your Justice of the Peace Act outside your door, can't you?
Yes.
Along with your implied rights of access.
Yes, this is where now, I was talking earlier about 81-year-old lovely ladies. And remember, they've contributed to us knowing, and there's still many, we shouldn't discount them because they're 81. They're a font of knowledge.
Yep.
They may not be as physically capable, but they've got a brain. They've seen it all. Let's usurp that. Let's get it on the record. Let's find out what were good when they were kids. Because I'll tell you what, they'll have been out up to eyeballs in muck and whatever, and they were happy. And that's all you want for your kids today. Well, take these frigging tablets off them, take the pigging phones off them and get them playing out.
Yep, absolutely. Absolutely.
That's all I say, but make them responsive. You can have your phone for an hour a day. I don't want to be draconian. I'm not deciding what you should do with your children. I'm asking you to recognise what these things are doing to your children.
Yeah.
That's simply that. So coming now, just one final one on regarding Justice of the Peace. Once there is a Justice of the Peace appointed, and you can have more than one, yeah, they or he or she has the power to appoint constables, constitutional constables now.
So we've got a gentleman here that's just done it, haven't we?
Yeah, well, he did it basically 18 months ago because I went down and established the Commission of the Peace. Right,
is it Francis? Do you want to say anything on this? Are you still there, Francis?
You see, what's missing here with Fran is that it was established and everybody there, but it's just merely one.
Right.
Yeah, but when we all do it, is our Fran? Nationally, he was there. We still have the document, do we not, Fran?
That's correct.
Yes, the document that the people signed as a lawful Commission of the Peace. Let me tell you, that guy there, he is a lawfully appointed Justice of the Peace.
Right. So, what was the process that you done? What happened, Francis?
Well, on the day, Ian came down to my home, and it was a beautiful day, and there were at least 40 of us outside in the garden. And basically, he did a speech, and then we came to the point of justice of the peace. And he asked, would anybody, be willing to take the position of justice of peace? And I said, yes, I would, because nobody else was putting their hand up. And I thought to myself, well, somebody's got to do it. And if nobody else is going to do it, I'll do it, because we need to push this forward. So basically, that's why I put my hand up, because no one else was. And of course, we had the commission done with 26 members of the public.
Is that a minimum? Does it have to be a minimum of 26?
Yeah, 26 members of the public, yes.
The equivalent of a common law jury. Go on, Frank, sorry for interrupting.
No, that's fine. So there has to be a minimum of 26. So you carry on.
Yeah, so then, of course, by commission, I was appointed Justice of the Peace by the people. Now, that's very, very important, because none of these governments have ever had that, the consent of the people.
Yep.
And on record.
And on record, of course, yeah. And, of course, on that day, I keep on moving around here, we had the consent of the people, on the ground, the people of the land.
Right.
Which is legal. It's legal.
And lawful.
Lawful.
And lawful. Do you get me?
So what does that mean for you now?
Well, that means that I can appoint constables or other justices of the peace. And then those justices of the peace, because we've had the consent of the people through my commission, they also have that to follow through. But they have to be an honour. The moment they step outside that door, good night, you're out.
And yeah? when you say they have to be in honour, that means
they have to stand in honour and stand to their oath then of the commission, right, and not step outside that. Basically be truthful and honest.
Yep. Okay.
And of course, constables as well.
So what you're hoping is to build more of
commissions around the country.
That's correct, yeah.
So once we do that, then like Fran is a JP, you've got a representative commission regarding a national representation of legal and lawful, which is done by, here's the key word now coming up, constitutional agreement, which outweighs the implied to do with Boris. It's goodbye, Boris.
What Boris and any government has never ever had.
So you do realise that we are dealing with bully boys, policy officers.
I'm dealing with criminals.
We are, absolutely. So how would this evolve if more people became commissions, if they took commission and...
Right.
It's about the numbers, isn't it?
If I can just broach, right, they've got police stations, we paid for them. They've got police cars, we paid for them. You appoint constables, we take the police cars back, we take the police stations back to continue a reasonable degree of governance within a community. You can take your courts back, your prisons back, all the rest of them, we paid for them.
Schools,
the lot.
Buildings,
education, across the board.
How would you take them back?
Because what they've got now, I've just expressed it here, and it says theft in breach of trust. The schools have been stolen. The police stations have been stolen in breach of trust. The cars have been stolen. The councils have been stolen in breach of trust by legislation created in joint criminal enterprise, period.
So basically, that's all so-called public authorities have stolen our property
to benefit as a corporation for profit.
Yes.
That's it. And they're walking all over us. I
absolutely love this. I just have one question.
Yeah.
Is how do you think this is going to play out? Because they're not going to give it up.
They ain't going to get a choice. Because You look at the numbers and they can shoot me in the head tomorrow. I'm way beyond that point of worrying about that. Yeah. I'm not an activist. I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I base everything I say on structured research.
Fact.
Fact. As much as I can, fact. So when you look at it all, I look into this book and I look at the laws, I look at what they disobeyed. Now, the criminally occupying polices, we're entitled to arrest every one of them, provided there are sufficient constables where we can call on, say, where Fran's from. I won't say over here, but where France or wherever in the country, that these lawfully appointed constitutional constables, right, here's your warrant from him. Off you go. Go get them. And you remove them from their homes under arrest to face trial. And what? It's a jury that decides their punishment, not a judge.
You know, this would end up in fights because the police ain't not going to let you come in and remove them.
The Freemasons, what you mean?
Oh, yeah.
It's a numbers game.
It's always a number. Freemasons and barristers and solicitors and the bankers. This is what you've got to face. Now, you either straighten your back and get on with it, or you capitulate. The choice
is the word, isn't it? Apathetic. Apathetic.
Yeah. Do you think that doing something like this, don't get me wrong, I completely agree, and we do need people power, because I do believe that sooner or later we are going to get to a point where, you know, it is literally going to go, you know.
Exactly. I've said that for 7 years.
Yeah, it will come to that, I think. It's the unfortunate eventuality, isn't it, of being so constricted.
Give an example. A particular friend of mine had an issue, and I got a certain load of emails of us supposedly. He claimed I act under the law, but he's playing with the wrong one now, isn't he? Sergeant Cahill, Pudsey Police Station. You know you are. But I sussed this individual out to be in collusion with a party that was actually would have been a defendant, if you like. So this Cahill reprobate, I got his address because I'm pretty skilled like that. Yeah. And when I find his home address, now he's vulnerable, like we're vulnerable.
Yep.
And this is what we you know, they know where every one of us live, but we don't know where they live. They're protected. Why they're protected? Because the Rothschilds need that. Yeah. Because if you look at the checks on their monkey uniforms, that is Freemasonry in signature, the checks. Black, white, yellow, blue, whatever. It's all Freemasonry. It's there full in your face, which takes you straight back to Rothschilds. But I am going to go back to the history of the Knights Templar at this point and all that carry on. What I am saying is, if you've had enough, if you get together, if you say no to the utility companies because they're in receipt of stolen property, yeah, take them to court. They won't come near you because you're after the CEO. Only the CEOs you're going after. They're behind the bloody idiots' bailiffs coming because they're just complicit in it. It's the facts you want. So when we come to addressing the offences that have been committed, if we haven't got a right of redress, which is what it says in the Bill of Rights, express words. This is why the Queen was petitioned and never answered to do with barons in 2011 when they petitioned her. They were petitioning a head of state, not a monarch. The poor people didn't understand, like Dave Robinson. He got them to do that. But there wasn't petitioning a monarch. That had been deposed. Understand what's going on. So Boris has no claim, legal right whatsoever. He's acting in colour of law. I broached this in the last video. So now we've dealt with utilities. Now we'll just jump to CH11 and Court of Equity. This is your equity there, Stephen, by the way.
Thank you.
I'll just shoot off. Okay.
Thank you.
Right, thank you, Fran, for sitting in the background. Now get the kettle on. I'll be down in half an hour.
You didn't get it.
So because of the time element now, I've found many people asking me varying questions on Facebook. Well, what I'm going to do now is I'll do a series of 4-minute videos. And I'll go through and I'll post it on my own timeline to save you the time. But you will obviously get it, Laura.
Yeah? I'll share it.
And I'll give you all the how to do it, what you can do in particular. You can create your own injunction. Did you know that? With powers of arrest attached. You can do what you like. They can only then apply for an alteration. Yeah.
To do an injunction, doesn't it have to be authorised by a court? I mean,
yes. But the first initial outset injunction is set for 2 years. It's imposed for 2 years. And if anybody breaches that, any bailiff, any Scottish power, even a police officer, you can put it against your local police force corporation.
But doesn't there have to be a reason to set an injunction?
Yes, which is called a skeleton argument. Yeah, right. And you set out your skeleton argument. I believe, that this, and I believe that, and I believe other. Now, for example, I've taught for a good while now. I'm asking you the question directly now. Do you believe the utility companies were stolen in breach of trust and treason?
That they stole our electric and gas.
And gas board and water board.
Yes.
You did?
Yeah.
So where is your redress? Because that is our equity. It's in the wrong court to take it to a magistrate. So as far as the injunction side of it goes, you take it into the court of equity, CH11. But then you probably have to do, now this is where Dave Clapham is absolutely razor sharp. Yeah.
Right.
This man, proficiency in the word is beyond that. And I know he's listening. So you carry on, Dave. I can't applaud you enough. Because his expertise in forms and how you word things and this, that and other is immense, which he would be such value to the hub.
Right, and would he help?
Well, I've asked him today. He's all for it.
Wonderful.
But he's won cases himself.
And
but
so
he knows how to, tweak things, if you like. He knows how to get injunctions out. He knows how to do it all. Sometimes, it's not often I'll admit this, but I advocate him to the degree that sometimes I wish I got all his knowledge. And that's rare coming from me. But he's an absolutely top guy, David Clapham, they call him, or commonly known on my face. I don't know whether I should say this.
No, better not.
I'm just going to do a bit of telepathy.
Yeah, that's it. Just leave
it. His name on my Facebook is Davy Morvan. Oh, don't bombard him. Wait till we get the hub set up, because I'm getting inundated, and all the time for the individual cases, I can't concentrate on the hub. And I've got to think about the whole picture. And I understand that it's a nightmare for people. So let's have a bit of contribution. People have offered hand over fist to help. But do it with Laura. Mm-hmm. And let's see what your qualifications are. Can you type, for example? It's a contribution. You may not, you don't need to be legally minded. It could be typing. It could be setting up a spreadsheet. Many, many things. Yep. But you can contribute. So what we need to do is find out everybody's attributes. For the hub. Mm-hmm. Then you can support and do these CH11s and all this lot. Provided that all you need is a transcript of a video call or an audio, transcribe it into written, create your skeleton argument for the injunction. Presto, that's him off your back for 2 years. Simple as that. They're trying to steal me equity under a corporate guise, which is not permissible in the court of equity. It's the directors that's trying to steal it from you. So they're the ones that's answerable.
Yep, you make the man.
Exactly. You can talk to Scottish Power all you want. I've done it with Yorkshire Water. Can I speak to Mr. and Mrs. Yorkshire Water, please? They go, I beg your pardon. That's exactly. I want to speak to Mr. or Mrs. Yorkshire Water. Well, there ain't one. Well, what you sent me this letter for? It's called a nom de deux. So anyways, long story short, that's what I do with them. Unless your director comes forward and makes a claim to me, sod off. Because this is the tricky of the letters where we're talking about window boxes.
Yep.
And then you get the OVO team. Yeah.
Right.
Or the Scottish Power team. Unsigned it. What's that? You know what I mean? It burns my head out how people are being duped. Even today I was discussing Four Corner Rule with Dave. And on one page, there were actually 9 pages. This is another for another time.
Yeah. Yep. I was going to say we'll do that discussion.
The trickery of the current court documents it'll astound you when we go through it. But Dave is so expert in this matter and proficient. He will tell you exactly what you're reading, and it may say a name on there, but it's on a separate page. So take that page away, and where is this bill applied to you? It's a separate page. Who are they talking to here?
Yep.
This is a basic grammar. Well, I won't say basic grammar, but it's understanding the Four Corner Rule where letters are concerned. Yeah, and the window box and all the rest of it. And it's just a complete fraud.
You see, the problem is that, I always say to people, obviously we share this advice, we share what we can, but there are people that own assets and they're very scared to take action in case it comes back and hits them in their assets.
You're doing a second-hand injunction. Yeah, that's it. And you just give an assurance to court.
Yep.
That's it. But the point of fact is, a corporation in title cannot make a claim
against a living man or woman.
Well, it's an undergird. Yeah, it's just a legal dead entity title, nothing more. This is the trick of it all. But that's another area that we've really got to go through and get people to understand. When you get a letter or a bill through your door, don't despair. Understand what's before you. You'll laugh at it in the end, I assure you. But that's for another day, I think, really. But to understand the Four Corner Rule, once you understand that, you're thinking, what the hell is this rubbish? And that's what it is, absolute rubbish. And this is the Vatican twisting in our education, because our psyche sees our name. Our psyche in here sees a figure. Oh, I owe this, I owe that. You owe nothing, because the document itself is so flawed, it isn't even valid. I'd laugh them out of court. Crack on, idiot. You know what I mean? But then I would sue them.
What about this? Because what I've been doing a lot lately is whenever I get bills, again, I'm quite lucky because guess what? I owe nothing. But I've been doing return to sender, which means I don't contract with you.
Yes.
I get these letters and, return to sender, because if I keep the letter, then they think, well, I've received it, I've made joinder. But if I return to you, that's no contract.
Well, I just put 2 words on it. But I'll say it in this way. I'll say it, and this is exactly what I mean. Foxtrot, uniform, Charlie Kilo, Oscar, Foxtrot. And that's it.
And like with the council tax process as well. I mean, we can, you say you can take an injunction out on a council tax?
Because they're a corporation, you are not there's 2 separate parts to a council that you must understand. Here in England, not UK.
Yep.
Remember that one? In England and Wales. Yeah, they are corporate. They've infiltrated you, the councillors that you think you vote for, to benefit you in your community.
Mm-hmm.
Which is a mirror image, believe it or not, of the Justice of the Peace Act. When you get to know it. But the poor old councillors, the normal guys that you voted in because the stalwarts in your community, they want to do right by you, and I applaud them. But they don't understand how the infiltration of the statutory officers implemented by Blair under the 1992 Local Government Act and Heath under the 1972 Local Government Act are both, they've been put there in criminal joint enterprise to usurp your finances in the under the fraud and misconception that they have a legal claim. They have nothing because they're acting in colour of law. So
in our conversation today, you actually mentioned something which was very relevant, and actually someone has just made a comment which brought me back to our conversation today. And Bob just made a comment. The worst thing that happened to people is they learnt to read and write and were programmed by the system. Now, you and I spoke today about the fact that people couldn't read and write.
1832.
Right. Therefore, now, so they went from not being able to read and writing, and then our education system got infiltrated by the Rothschilds to and the Vatican to teach you to read and write, but only what they want you to know.
Well, exactly. So it was structured what you were taught.
Yeah.
Like I blew a fuse.
Yep.
So all through wrongdoing.
So we've got a very common misconception
about education.
By a comment here. It's a very common misconception by people that really don't understand. And the comment says you should be paying council tax because you get the bin men to empty your bins.
Now, we do. It's called infrastructure, is it not? But who's the rightful claimant of that? Your councillors, not the private corporation. Because the statutory officers have been implemented in joint criminal enterprise. Now, if you're going to have a representative as a council, that will be your councillor. So when you go into the chamber, when they have it once a month or whatever, who should really be being paid, if anything? It used to be under rates before the Honourable Dodds got the clause into and realised there were a profit to be made. This is it, like Wakefield, 118 million in reserves, but it's all offshore.
Yep.
And I challenged them on this one. Why are you sending our money to Arkansas, Bentonville, USA? Oh, no, we don't. And I've gone, what's that say? What does that say? Your corporate, and it was simple find on, if you ever want to find out about a corporate officer, look on Data Lead.
Data Lead.
Oh, yeah, it gives you all what they're from and where their headquarters are. The Wakefield Metropolitan District Council headquarters are in Arkansas, USA.
But most of our
got to do with Wakefield itself, nothing, because it's corporate and they're lying to you.
Yep.
Get me?
And we don't pay. Our money doesn't go to the bins anyway. They get paid separately. Recycling is a massive business.
Yes.
The bin collection has nothing to do with the council that the tax they pay. Like they say, it goes towards the police. The police are private corporate bodies. It's got nothing to do with the council tax.
They are partners.
Right. So the council tax is not what you're not paying for what you believe you're paying.
No. So they don't give you an itemised bill or breakdown in a year. Oh, well, it's this. Hang on a minute. What do you want this for? So, like in Wakefield, on my last count, it were 377,000 working. Yeah.
Yep.
Well, I times that by 1,000. Yeah. On average, 1,300 council tax bill. Yeah. Which that's what, 33 million, is it? Oh, sorry, 37.7 million.
Yep.
Yeah. Then what about all the rents that they're taking in from council houses? The fraud of the PCNs and parking tickets.
Yeah, absolutely. It's all fraud. Don't get me wrong. You know, if we had communities, and we were all there to help,
then we will know where every penny's going.
Yeah, exactly. Everything has to be.
If I was on that commission, which would be your council, yeah. If I was on the commission and somebody said to me, "Where's this going?" I would answer that. Well, we've done this with this and we've done that with that, but there's no left for this. So next year it'll be on the agenda to be addressed, or whenever the funds become available. Yeah. So what I'm saying to you now, we securitize ourselves. Yeah. because all your council tax account numbers are a securitized instrument.
Yeah.
That is why it's sent abroad. So they're making hand over fist on the stock markets in America and here, yeah, which is all you got to do where Wakefield's concerned is look up Sage Wakefield.
Yep.
And it'll come straight up Arkansas, USA. Well, I ask you. But what they're not telling us, like out from our birth certificates, they are making billions of credits because legal tender is nothing but a credit. So
I'm just going to put a few questions to you, as I always do before we close, right? Yeah. Again, we're going to, at the moment, we're just discussing things, putting things out there. Eventually, we're going to hopefully set up these hubs so that we can draft the letters. I'm hoping to get a very small team because there's too many infiltrators.
Yeah.
And I've got a few here at the moment, which are just a waste of absolute precious breath. We have one lady here, bless her, and she has a very good point, which is valid for many people in her position. And she says, in fact, I can put it up there, I think, trying to fight against a corrupt system when you own a property, that's what they will come after. They will come and take whatever you have and leave you with nothing.
Right, I can answer that question now. By the click, right, they have taken the registration of that lady's property, but she took it or she gave it, or it registered under the presumption of constitutional governance. In other words, the land registry. Except in 2008, the land registry became a private company. It's taken that lady's information, yeah?
Yep.
And took that registration criminally because it's her data. Has she ever consented to that being registered to anything other than a constitutional land registry? No. That is the answer. No. So therefore, we've got fraud going on now because of this Clearfield doctrine. And they can't take your property if you get ahead of the game, which is what the hub is about.
Right. So what you did send me, I don't know where it is. I can't get it while I'm on the screen, but you did send me something about land registry.
Yeah. Well, it's on with Dun & Bradstreet. And I had an issue where my dear mother-in-law passed away nearly a year ago. Oh, this, that, and other. Oh, well, hang on a minute. I said, you're a private. No, we're not. No, we're not. Oh, well, okay. But a solicitor's witnessed this. No, he hasn't. I wouldn't trust the solicitor's fact because when it comes down to it in a court, that solicitor will not come because he's just an advocate of the Bar Council. And our proof is a foreign agent. Now, next question. 2002 Land Registry Act, I said, void, created by a criminal joint enterprise. Now, do you want to carry on or not? Bang, phone down. I've got every email I've ever sent, and now it's shop time.
Yeah.
So what I did, I sent them an email, and I've sent them a notice that bungalow is now in private ownership.
Mm-hmm.
Not in a trust. It's just in private, but you step foot on this property. So what me and the dear lady did, where I asked her, right, give me the rights or the title deeds to the land only. You keep the rights to the actual building, the bricks and mortar. Then I put a full notice of implied, you step foot on here, you're liable to be shot. And I mean it, because I have a right to bear arms to protect my property.
So I thought that right was taken away from us.
Under corporate legislation that's invalid. Colour of law. Acting, when they're making these claims, they're outside of their jurisdiction to do so. It has no bearing whatsoever. It's a lie.
We have the right to protect ourselves anyway.
Yes, but we've also the right to own property, and part of that would be to protect your own property. There you go. But the parties that are implementing this are all acting in colour of law without legal right. Became the Des Moines. You have Boris doesn't have a legal right to put gas bills and electric up. He has He had no legal right to implement this coronavirus rubbish.
No, he didn't. But everybody
duped. But I haven't because I wouldn't take that for love nor money. I don't trust none of them.
So does this apply to buying land and building on it?
Yes. Because another chap I know, he only had a caravan on it. You know what I mean? He lives down that Wales way, does that lad, he knows who I'm talking about. However, they come on with this Planning Act, 1990, you can't have a caravan on there and blah, blah, blah. Hang on a minute. So I jumped on it. What right have you, I don't know whether, I'll name the council, Merthyr Tydfil Council, to make claim under a void act. And I fired it all off to this individual he's become a good friend now. And he's hitting them left, right and centre because he's in no fear. But now a certain arsehole, a certain reprobate, I get angry, you see, with them. I do get angry with them. However, this, I'll tell you the name of the so-called district judge, William Neil Thomas. Well, I ask you. I recused him last year to do with Anna Redfern at Swansea Cinema. Yeah, because I knew we were acting in fraud, and he carried on and he fined her 40 grand. That cannot stand. He broke the law. Now, he's operating in Merthyr Tydfil courts now. So I've sent him another notice of recusal that you've done it twice now and you're answerable and accountable twice. And the parties that you're complicit with you could be your own daughter called Sarah Thomas. I'm appointed by the Welsh ministers. The Welsh ministers are actually complicit in treason, because they took Wales, right, and said now, with what do they call it, where devolved government, they couldn't do it. Who declared that? A corrupt corporate government? You can't declare it. They can make no declarations legally whatsoever. Period.
Just a quick question is, there's the, for the people that obviously are listening, that when we say legislation is not law, to make it law, explain how law has to be passed.
By consent of the governed.
Right.
It's very, very simple. Let's say there are 100 people, between England and Wales. I'm just using a figure now. And 51 say yes to a particular law and 49 say no, then it carries as constitutionally agreed. It's called a democracy. Although if there's some probably out there thinking democracy means this, DE means no. There's all in syntax. I can do that. But the ordinary person understands the word democracy, which is allegedly by mutual agreement. So the majority carries. Yeah.
But this is what they've done in Parliament. They all vote as a majority in Parliament and pass it.
By what right? Because the voting process, as it stands today, have you ever heard of the chain of title?
No.
The chain of title is where something must be continuous. In other words, I explained it here, you put your X on a voting card, don't you? All right, I've never voted in my life and I wouldn't pander to them. But for those that do, they go and they put an X there. But when do they put the name and address on it?
No, they don't.
So it's not authenticated, is it?
Exactly, it's not.
So it's not admissible in a court of law. I was on about this earlier in the video. It's not admissible. It isn't even evidence. So they go in there, right, and they've got to be registered as a limited company, which draws them into the corporate world, and there's money to be made from it, and they're all getting the gas bills paid and an electric bill. Oh, yes, we're like this. They don't give a monkeys about me and you and all the people and the old ladies that are going to be called this, and the kids. I despise them because they are not representative of us. And I'll come back to Justice of the Peace Act. When you implement that, then you've got your representation. Then you decide who gets warm and who stays warm. Then you create a society that's so sweet. You actually want to give it a hug.
I don't think I like the word society. I prefer communities.
Well, community then. But community is a wrong word anyway. Let's just say something good.
Something good, yeah.
I'll just settle for that. But this is when I get angry, because 24 years of research, and my issues I explained in the first video, But there are bigger issues than me myself.
Yeah.
Far, far bigger. When I recognised that, I had to make a decision which comes first. I'll tell you what comes first. People.
Yeah.
Not me. I'll deal with mine in my own good time. Yeah, that's that. But what's more important is to bring an end to this tyranny. Yeah, he walks about, I see him all reprobate on telly today walking about Ukraine with that, whatever his name is, Zazlewski or whatever his bloody name is. I don't rightly care. But in a war zone, he's walking around in a suit.
I know, and people really believe that it's ridiculous.
Not even, listen, I've seen bomb damage in my time. I'm ex-army.
I mean, what is
look
it?
At the buildings, there isn't even so much as a pot mark on them.
Yeah, exactly. And they can go ahead and have concerts out there, have photo shoots out there, have modelling sessions out there, really.
Bono goes out there. Do you think Bono's insurers are going to give him insurance to go to a war zone? Like crap they are.
It's ridiculous.
Exactly. It's just it's pathetic. But people pander to, look, telly's on, look who's doing it. Have a word with yourselves. You stress me out. Yeah. But the point is, one day, I won't be alive.
Right, so we've got a gentleman here, Gary Peters, just got evicted today in court with a Section 21, so homeless in 2 weeks. Gary, do not leave your home.
Right. So you've got an order. You've seen the PDF I sent you about Boyd orders, haven't you?
Is it on my email?
Yeah, I've sent you a PDF.
Right,
what's his name again? Peter?
Gary Peters.
Right, Gary. Boyd orders. You look at that order. It is not stamped, I guarantee it. It is not signed, because if they do, if it was signed and stamped, they will be committing treason. They would also be breaching the Bill of Rights, and no judge is going to lose his pension for you, son, or for that corporation. Make no contract, speak no contract. That is declaration, of independence. That's what it means. So coming back in plain English, but let me tell you, Gary, want it again.
Gary.
You give him off here my email. I will blow that away in an instant. I will have it quashed within, just right to the court, right to whoever's going to come. And believe you me, you've been out to like Rob White. And we should go to this guy's home and I will challenge every copper. I will challenge a lot of them. Come near this house if you dare. Because the warrant is void. The eviction order is void.
Yeah, the thing is, we've had this in repossessions.
It's disgusting.
Over and over again, and the warrants and writs don't even have a proper court stamp.
So they're void.
There's no.
The case is Bellinger v. Bellinger. And in Lord Justice Fry.
Yeah,
if
whereabouts are you, Gary?
It's not stamped and signed either by a judge or by a court officer. It's void.
It's all a
black for your equity.
Yeah.
It's all about taking your equity to squeeze and make you miserable and to upset you and worry and all the rest of it. Believe you me, there are protections out there that you can implement within 48 hours. It's get stuffed.
Gary, can you message me and after this, and whereabouts are you? What area are you in? And I don't leave your property, okay? Don't. It's rented. Oh, okay. So what, from a private landlord? Well, they have to rehome you then.
Even as a private landlord, they've used void legislation. Namely, it'd be somewhat under, I don't know what it's under. I think it's 2011. So you say I don't give much credit, to it, but I think it's 2011, an application for the landlord for an eviction notice, etc., etc. But what he doesn't seem to understand, Gary, is that this landlord has applied void legislation to obtain a void warrant.
Right.
So let's take it to a jury, and they've also breached your rights under Bill of Rights 89, sorry. Yeah. No fine or forfeiture without conviction. So let's forget about a single judge. I've said to you about the Aylesbury's law. Yeah. The coronation oath. Yeah. That no court can be legitimised because of the constraints on the Queen's Oath, meaning the Coronation Oath Act itself. So the judge has breached that. He's actually committed a criminal offence to issue such warrant for your eviction. I'd sue his backside off. Move into his house and get him out.
That would be good, wouldn't it?
Well, we can do that. He's the one acting in fraud.
Yeah.
You look at the Act of Settlement, it tells you in there you can take their estates. This is why you don't find judges. Because if we did, there'd be a lot of bloody youngman's nooses needed.
So, just a quick question. If we were to talk about, repossessions and mortgage, is it basically the same thing that we've just spoken about that applies to everything?
Yes.
Right.
So you see H11 comes in, get an injunction on the judge, say you want that order repealed, and if this guy, this landlord, has got any course of action, it is only by jury trial according to the Bill of Rights 89, sorry.
Right.
And he must take it to a jury trial. And I've got this and I've got that and I've got other. But you'll find the contract that Gary signed, as far as the house went, is void as well. Well, I haven't seen it, but believe you me, I'll blow that away. So the landlord has created a void instrument called a contract. And there you go. So I would say, right, you owe me, if I've been in there 2 years, I'd say, right, you owe me 2 years rent and I'm not moving. I'm going to live here for 2 years now.
But actually, Gary said it's a private landlord matter. Yeah. So this is not a mortgage repossession. So that's probably...
He's still applied. Everything that he's applied, this landlord, he's applied it under void legislation. He's also gone to an illegitimate court to obtain it. That voids it again. Then you look at the case laws, which is L.J. Fry, Bellinger v. Bellinger, Lord Denning,
Yep.
And you blow it away. He ain't got a leg of stand on this landlord, so don't worry your head, Gary. It's a walk in the park for me. But it's not me that sat in your shoes, and I do feel for you wholeheartedly. And this is what we're talking about. When it comes down to creating the hubs and the Justice of the Peace Act, you stop all that.
Yeah. See, he's on here right now. I'll just bring it up. We supported a repossession with this gentleman's house, and we won. The bailiffs went away, but then they came back. A group of men broke into our house on the 13th of July with a fake warrant, and the police were in on it. There was 20 men. Right. Since then, they have a group of men with dogs guarding the house until it is sold. So they're not able to gain entry. 20 men turned up at this gentleman's house, him and his wife, and broke in.
If we had have implemented the Justice of the Peace Act, they can have 20 men there. But if you've got 10,000 constitutional constables, they're all bound to go and remove them 20 men. By law, by the law of this land, namely Bill of Rights. They're constitutionally bound to remove them, and that is why Blair removed the last constable in this country in 1995, because he needed them to be corporate, because they were in collusion with the EU and the bloody Rothschilds and all the rest of it. And he's hiding the facts.
They would like to get back into their house, but they're very, very afraid to do that. So what you're saying is that if we create the
Justice of the Peace Act, you're going to say now?
Peace Act and do the commission
and set up your own constitution, then legislation has no part in it. It's not. You can't enter that jurisdiction because the people don't want that rubbish.
Right. So the police will come and arrest you.
No, they won't, because you've got 10,000 constables that'll take them out.
It is a numbers game, Lynn. You're very, very right. It is a
numbers game. You're right. And men have to stand up now. Men. I'm not talking mamby-pamby, go down to the pub and what. You've got a duty now to look after your parents, your grandparents, your brothers, your sisters, the little ones. Even your grandkids, whatever. Your nieces, your nephews. You're bound under just natural law to defend, but it doesn't stop with your own. If you want people to help you, you've got to help them.
Well, we have been driving around supporting the repossessions, but they're getting very clever and coming without any notice and in numbers.
Right. Well, we'll do it another way, shall we? I'd look at it this way. The company that's applied for this, a little bit of checking, you'll find them. Basically, we can do what's called, have you ever heard of the law of distress, Aylesbury's law?
No, I've heard of the Aylesbury's law, but not.
Yeah, well, I'll send you this. Aylesbury's law, it's an ancient law that's never been repealed. And it was updated in 2007. And where a party has done a wrongdoing to you, you may take their property, which means get the directors out of their houses, and while you're occupying mine, I'm going to occupy yours.
Fantastic.
And the law says you can do that. And you do not need to take a legal course to do that.
Are you listening, Michael?
You just implement it. You've done me wrong. Here's my claim. I'm taking your house till you sort it. Get out of my house up here. And while that would destroy all his plumbing and strip the roof and make it valueless and whatever. But I don't do that. Maybe I do.
When they turn up unexpectedly, so you don't have the numbers waiting for them. So they turn up, they take over, then we need to come back. Before
this, what we'll call repossession, shall we say, took place, you must have had information, i.e. letters saying what was happening. So while that's going on, you put their directors on notice. You touch this house and I'll take yours. And I'll take whatever. You put the police on notice. But it's within your hook, within your 15-mile radius.
Yeah, because isn't there a natural law, a God's law or something, now quote me, that says that if you deprive another man from progressing or taking what he's entitled to have,
trespass,
right, then you have to provide for them.
I believe that's in the Bible, actually, but I'm not an avid reader because I don't know it by first-hand knowledge.
I'll have to find it. I've got it somewhere, but basically,
I agree that it does exist.
Yeah,
I have something of that nature. Do not covet thy neighbour. Springs to mind. The 10 Commandments.
Yeah. I'm sure that there is something. They're not allowed to deprive you of your rights to live.
When you come into Bill of Rights and Coronation Oath, that we swear to govern here by the laws of God and the gospel.
Yeah.
But what are them? The laws of God are the 10 Commandments, allegedly.
Yep.
There you go.
Right, we are going to come to an end now because we're getting close to the 2-hour mark. But before we do, is there any quick questions or anything, that anyone wants to ask Ian while he's on the line? For the record, Ian is not John Smith from the Common Law Court. Just to make that clear, I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with the Common Law Courts, but there might have been some confusion last time we've done the live. So if we were to do another live, what topics do you want to cover?
Well, particularly the CH11, because that's causing a lot of people a concern. How you implement and construct the injunction itself. What is available to you. Yeah. You basically set the terms of the injunction. Who you can apply it to? You can apply it to every judge as a corporate judge. You can apply it to police as a corporation. You can apply it to your council.
Right. So what we should do really then is set the template first so that I've got them. You can help me with that. And then we can, what do you think?
Move forward.
Yeah. There's a lot of people that do want to know about the CH11. What if the council tries bankruptcy? Well, they can't. I mean, they're going to try, but again, I think this CH11 could be quite powerful.
In legal tender, they're not even explaining what legal tender is.
Right.
And things like there's a lot of complex things to be addressed in relation to the matrix that they're presenting. And it gets so confusing. It's easy for me. I just, instinctively, I know it's wrong. Where do I go? I've got the knowledge there. I have 24 years of it. And I just go bang, 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 bang. Case law's a lot. There you go. There's your crime even. I even accuse them of a crime. So if you take me into a court, that's only evidence against you. In one of your corrupt courts, your corporate courts, and I'll do you not only for fraud, I'll do you for conspiracy for fraud, and that's 14 years. Do you really want that? Because I will win with a jury. Now jog on. Away.
So, can we see how to fight the utilities and council tax? We spoke about the utilities and it's under the Theft Act and the Proceeds of Crimes Act.
Yeah,
is that right?
We have to CF that, similar to, because of the date of it.
So
the Theft Act is 1968. It's pre-1973.
Oh, is it 1968, did you say?
Yep. Theft Act.
Right, not 58. Remove
the Proceeds of Crime Act, I believe, is 2006.
And it's similar to
CF. You always put CF. Because you're not conceding to the terms of it. You're just saying their actions are similar to. That they've stolen our property, made a gain, therefore we're entitled to recoup that which we have lost.
Yep. Excellent. And we need to, I think my understanding is you can draft a letter yourself because it's not how you word it, but it's the substance of the letter, isn't it?
Yeah, well, you apply the law, apply the crime.
Yeah, and the crime is theft.
But first you must look at your contract. See if it does say all disputes will be settled in the courts of England and Wales. Well, that isn't a corporate court. It means a constitutional court. And by the laws of England and Wales, generally it will say. Yeah. Which means the Bill of Rights, jury trial, no single judge, right? This is what they're saying. Read your contracts first.
Info, please, how to deal with utilities sending letter to the occupier claiming to get warrants to fit prepayment meter.
Well, it's fraud. Send this again. I will serve you. This is where the hub comes in.
Yeah.
It's vital that we have, because then, as a collective, we can adopt bringing criminal charges in PCPs. That's private criminal prosecutions on behalf of the party that's come to us. Or we can do it as a class action.
Yep.
But once we put that to a director of, say, OVO or whatever, it's not to the director. I don't want to know who owns your company. I want the individual. Now you're going to Italy or where, so you're not the claimant then, are you? It is not your company. You're merely representing it. Now, we go then move into, where is your contract of employment?
Yep.
Because I may be talking to an idiot here and a scammer. So confirm your employment by contract. And you
what are Noah's laws? I don't understand that.
What?
Noah's laws. Do you know what Noah's laws are?
Well, I suppose that's Ark, isn't it? I can't think of Noah's. I don't know. I've never heard of it.
I haven't got a clue. Class action is brilliant. Just watching. Yeah. Okay. So the hub, I think, is really, really important. So maybe we can work on that, creating the hub so we can get the letters out.
And find the people that are prepared to contribute. It could be, like I say, a simple doing a spreadsheet, helping type up a transcript. Because one day they'll need us.
Yeah,
we all need each other, because the time for being individuals and cocky is over.
Or is it no hide laws, not no hide laws? Right, no hide. Do you know what no hide laws is?
That means bringing out in the open.
Hold on a minute, there it is. No hide.
Never heard of it.
No.
No. Sounds like a bloody Indian. Well, sorry, I've never heard of it. I don't want to ridicule because that's last of it. I never want to do that, but I've never heard of it.
What was your question, Sean? I don't know. Where is it? It's gone. You said ask him your question. I don't have your question, Sean. I really don't. I can't. So, and now my mind's just gone. Opposite of 10 Commandments. Oh, I see. It's from the Bible. Hub.
In other words, it's Cabal law then. I think that's what the Cabal.
Oh, it's made up of Jews.
There you go,
right.
Cabal.
Jews, right, okay.
Which brings us back to the Rothschilds. I'll also bring in, next time we do it, the Freemason, how they write dodgily.
Right. It means chop your head off.
Yeah, because you can what then? You become a ghost, don't you? A dead entity. To deceive. Let he who is deceived be deceived.
Right. Okay. So I think we're getting biblical now, and I'm not going to go down that route.
I'm not into biblical.
Although I do believe the Bible holds a lot of power in law, but we're not going to touch on that here. But I think we're going to give. The other thing I was told was to write to your utility companies and ask them to provide their proof of their liability order and their off-gem license or something.
Yeah, off-gem, but that for off-gem is 2003.
And some of them can't provide it.
Because the corporate.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is another piece of trickery. Because the corporations, you see, it's a deception. And all this off-gem and stuff like that, like they deal with Telecommunications Act 2003, for example, which is your TV, how they do the TV license and how they're putting up 5G towers and all that carry on.
Yep.
Yeah. So when you understand that there, it is a false instrument in respect of it's been created 2002. Who was that but Blair? I've already explained acting in treason, criminality, blah, 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 engaging with foreign state. I could talk about that all day long, but I'm not repeating myself. Yep. It's there in the first video. So you've got to understand what they're implementing and what the relevance of the day is.
Right.
And there you will establish the crime, disobeying an act or a statute.
So, where is she? Paula, this is Ian, not John, it's Ian. I think John is Ian in Scottish, is that right?
Yes, it is. John is Ian in Scottish.
How can we use the law to have... Oh, right. I can't mention that name because I'm not going to get into the G discussion. This is a book. Let it get here. Archibolds book that...
Even a 1999 version's good enough.
Right. That Ian's working from a lot of everything here. It's absolutely huge. Massive. And I've just got one and I'm quite excited to this is my life.
Yeah, we'll have another one out to read this book properly.
I need to learn how to read it, but like you say, but then can I just one final question is how did you know from reading this book what you had to do to fight what you had to fight? Does it tell you in this book?
It does.
Right. So it actually tells you.
Disobeying a statute. That's in chapter 1. So if a part is disobeyed it, what kind of how do you write an indictment? How do you write a summary offence?
And it's got it in this book.
Yes, all in here.
Right.
It's all there. So how to write it, how to word it, but the evidence must be there to support, be it a summary offence, which can be dealt with, right, in a lower court. And I'm not going to say it magistrates because that's void anyway, but in a lower court, let's say in front of a JP. But if it's an indictable offence, such as murder, then it must be dealt with 3 JPs on the bench and 26 jury members, all of whom must agree. And if they don't agree, you're back in. Get back in till you all decide one way or other. Because that is substantive as far as a judgment goes and arriving at a verdict. Now, this is where they're brought in to gain more convictions under the criminal legislation, that a jury of 12, but will happily accept 10. Hang on, it's not the judge's life that's at risk here.
Yeah, exactly.
Which really gets my back up. And then the manipulations, understanding Attorney General v. Times, newspaper, jury of your peers. I'm 66. Let's say they accuse me of crime. I want 12 people on a jury at 66 years old.
Does this book hold cases as well?
Oh, yeah, look at the front. Look at the front. So just start, and it'll start probably with statutes.
Oh, I've got to go right to the right. So disobedience to statutes.
No, you want to go back now.
Right.
Now, as you're flicking through there, you will see case precedents.
It's even got Irish law times. Oh, it's massive.
Exactly. Every case law is in there.
Oh, yeah.
So when you get a case law there, it'll merely quote the case law. You copy that case law into your search bar and it'll pop up.
Right. Oh, it's everything here. Yeah.
So you go further towards the front, and you'll find a table of cases, table of statutes.
Oh, here, guys, this is for my troll family. You can look at this book, Recommendations for Deportation, because I'm pretty sure you lot want to get rid of me. You're going to need this.
I beg to differ.
Yeah. So everything's here, and it's even got case laws to reference.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. It's massive. It's huge. Yeah.
You should have around about 3,800 and maybe 900 pages in that book. That's without looking.
I have posted it. Thank you. Thank you. I'll put the name of the book up there, okay? When we finish this live, I'll put the name. Nick, there's a guy called Nick Cottle said he's going to give you a call in the morning about speaking at the Leeds rally on Saturday the 7th.
Unfortunately, I have to go to Nottingham at 4:30.
What, tomorrow?
No, this is on. I've been contacted today, and that date in question, I have to be in Nottingham.
Was that the Leeds rally you was telling me about?
Yes.
Oh, no, that's a shame. I would have come. Okay, anything else? Well, I'll put that on there. I think you can get whatever year. It doesn't matter, does it? What year the book?
What we're concerned about is the offences.
Right.
And the evidence, and how you collate evidence, and this, that, and other. And just simply by disobeying a statute, as you've read it today, your good self, you know now it is an offence. And an incredible one at that.
Someone said, right. You said you were in Northern Ireland for a period of time. Do you know much of our own Bunricht 1937 Constitution?
I'll find it. Wait a minute. Right. I ain't got my phone here. It's downstairs. Sean, if you want to send it through or PM me, I'll have a little research on it for you. Because now you're going to take me back pre 1066.
Right. That's quite impressive.
I'll tell you now, it'll have a lot to do with Gaelic, Irish, Scottish, and then infiltrating England, going across to America, coming back. There'll be a lot of tracing to do there, a lot of research.
Okay, wonderful.
So you're going to want your descendancy, you're going to want all that to trace it back to find out if it's applicable to you. That's on the one hand. But I will research it for you because you just piqued my interest.
Excellent.
So something to play with. But I will find out. And what's the relevance of it? What does he want to know about it? That's my question.
Right, Sean, what would you like to know about it? We've got 1 minute. Let us know. Ian Stewart, 1 p.m. Leeds Den. It's 1 hour, 30 minutes drive from Nottingham, so plenty of time. What do you say? Glow Gleek? No, Sean can't read that. What's this?
Just send it to me PM, Sean.
Yeah, PM. Hold on, I'll put it up. Yeah. Thank you.
Well, thank you. Thank you all. I'm sorry for getting a bit tetchy throughout it. I just don't like criminals.
No, you just need to be you. And that is what listen, this is what we want. We want people to be honest, truthful, stand in their honor, in their truth, and spread their word. That's what we want.
And QC's judges, the lot use it.
Again, this is not legal advice. We're working to try and get as much knowledge as we can out. I got my book from eBay, by the way, and I think I paid about £20, but they're all different prices. Again, this is not legal advice, but we're looking at different ways to skin a rabbit.
That got wrong if you got that. But anyways, guys, thank you. I'm sure you need to get a cup of tea now, Laura, and I'm sure your bottom's hurting.
Yeah, I've got my comfy pillow. I had to get it out. I had to sit.
I'm sat in a hard buffet, so
every time I speak with you, Ian, the time just flies, and before I know it, I'm like, oh, I need my comfy pillow. But thank you. Love you all. I will upload this on YouTube again, and let's see what we can do going forward. I'm really excited about this, Ian. I really am.
Thank you, Fran, for your contribution. Francis Clanmore, that is.
All right, okay. Right, okay, much love to everyone. And I'll give you, are you about tomorrow morning, or shall we speak? We'll speak later in the week anyway.
Later in the week will be better.
All right, then. Right, thank you, Ian.
That's if I'm still alive, because Mrs. is stressing out like you won't believe.
Right.
You know, but
that's life, yeah. Right, much love to everyone.
All right. All of you, take care. God bless.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye now.